Hey you guys, today I'm going to be reviewing ZB1's mini album You Had Me at Hello. And this is the format I'm going to use to conduct these commentaries. For the first section, I will be going sequentially through each track of the mini album, explaining the type of song it is and giving my thoughts on it. I will then talk about the project as a whole, things like cohesiveness, how this release adds to the group's discography, or any extra notes I want to share. The other half of the video will be rank-based, because I have an unnatural affinity for these things. I will rank the title track against the previous title tracks, and finally ranking the mini album against previously released mini albums. I chose this as my first review since it coincides nicely with my spring semester ending, giving me more time to make content, as well as my high hopes for this group. I have a third times the charm rule, for those that don't know, which is essentially the only thing saving my poor checkings account. It's a threshold I've laid out for myself that a group must achieve for me to stan them. That being, a group must release 3 back-to-back releases that I like before I financially invest in them. And ZB1? They are the closest a K-pop group has come in a long time. Most drop out by the third project, hence the rule, and not that anybody asked, but my biases, if they pass today, are undoubtedly Kim Tae and Gunwook. Yes, it has been 2 weeks or so since it was released, but I like letting the songs marinate for a bit before making my final judgment. I am just someone whose opinions can change drastically in a short amount of time. This ought to be fun, so let's jump right into it. Solar Power is a hip-hop centered track with heavy features of bass and electric guitars. Much like the intro to Youth in the Shade, back to ZB1, I hated this track. There's no beating around the bush. As of now, the group's strengths are in bright, lighter tone songs that verge on being outright cute, and they have been rightly capitalizing on it till now. Not whatever this song was. I already have groups I listen to that excel in this genre, which makes listening to this novice attempt at a darker sound that much cringier. Adding on top of that is the horrid delivery of the English lyrics in the chorus. I have no idea why they were directed to deliver the lines, something akin to spoken word poetry, but it was a troubling experience to say the least. But I get it, I'm not evil. Like, I understand they're experimenting, they're trying something new and stepping out of their comfort zone. I won't harp on it for too long. The second verse was actually enjoyable, and the pre-chorus accomplishes its job at proper build-up, but it's immediately juxtaposed with the lackluster payoff in the chorus, instrumentally speaking in this case. If they wanted to try a grungier sound, I would have rather they really leaned into it and not half-assed it. It leaves the song feeling static and lacking the dynamics needed to keep me hooked. Feel the Pop is the poppiest of pop music. Literally. It incorporates a lot of sharp-hitting synths and big bass, feeling reminiscent of electronic club music. ZB1 returns with a title track worthy of being called girly pop. It presents with a catchy hook, a post-chorus that must be what heaven sounds like, a glittery soundscape that stretches throughout the runtime, and a music video that has me asking, what the fuck? In other words, I like the song. That being said, it's not perfect. While not as stagnant as Solar Power, Feel the Pop doesn't explore any interesting musical phrases as the song develops, which makes it a little stale by the time the bridge hits, electing to instead pull back even further into an empty sound before punching back into the third chorus with no changes. Because of this, it can get repetitive quickly. I also didn't feel as though the rapping was quite on par with their previous displays, but since the song is focused on like the happy-go-lucky vibes, it's very casual, it doesn't kill my enjoyment of the track. Overall, it's a cute pop. DR Clips is an R&B song made by sampling the piano riff off the lead single, Feel the Pop, opting to slow it down, letting it serve as a subtle mood switch that provides sufficient transition between tracks. The song blends a fast tempo with a hauntingly beautiful melody. It is the epitome of silky. While I enjoyed the song, it's not the kind that I return to often, but by no measure is it bad. I personally gravitate towards more high-energy, upbeat songs. And while ZB1 has decent vocalists, none of them can carry me through a vocal-based song, or at least one this heavy. It's also possible that they haven't been given the opportunity to really showcase their abilities, because while there are interesting riffs here and there, the entirety of the track is very mellowed out. Long story short, it's alright. Departing from their usual bass and drum-focused tracks, Sweat utilizes a more classic K-pop sound palette. The production is clean and well-balanced with a house bass instrumental. It is somewhere condensed into a song. And despite the vibes being immaculate, this was a big gamble for me. The house genre, I don't like it, even when it was trendy, and the once-in-a-blue-moon songs that I do like of this type are merely tolerable. That being said, I think the reason I love this particular track so fucking much is how punchy it is. It doesn't feel bleary or almost fuzzy. I think hazy is the word I'm looking for, because that's the impression I get from most house songs. The impact of the synths always keep me engaged with the song, easily becoming the K-pop summer song for me. As of now. We still have like 2 months left of summer for more contenders to come out. I was just talking about how much I like upbeat songs, and this is exactly what I meant. Since it was a pre-release as well, I've been streaming it long before the mini album came out, and I still haven't gotten bored of it. If I had to find anything to knock this song for, it doesn't fit smoothly into ZB1's sound, which isn't surprising for B-sides. That's where the more experimental stuff comes in. But like I mentioned, it was a pre-release, which does carry at least a small expectation of congruency alongside the title tracks. But it just feels like nitpicking to me, honestly. It's a really good song. Sunday Ride is a pop song that includes vibrant synths, a driving bass line, and rhythmic percussion, making it unfortunately the most generic of the track list. It does feature some compelling harmonies and vocal layering in the verses. Even some of the members, Sung Han-bin and Ricky, utilizing falsetto that added an airy quality to the higher notes. But it neighbors the rest of the members almost chanting in the chorus, which is a pet peeve of mine in songs. It very rarely, ever, sounds good if it's done without intention, which is what it feels like here. The track does continue the playful, carefree pattern present in most of the songs. All in all, it was just boring for the most part, and if I'm completely honest with myself, the chanting did really ruin it for me, and I may be overlooking something here that other people would find appealing. So, that's that. Hello is an emotional ballad song with a sweet melody flowing over a lyrical acoustic guitar. There is a blend of both digital and analog sounding elements, which gives the track a polished yet dynamic character. It features softer, more tender moments in the verses and builds up to the explosive, impassioned energy in the chorus. It uses the call and response motif, which I am a sucker for, I will admit, where one vocalist or group of vocalists will sing a line and another will respond. This adds a conversational feel and keeps the arrangement engaging. This track definitely made me eat my words, but it did confirm my suspicion that given the right material, ZB1 can pull off vocal-heavy songs. And that bridge, I got both Kim Tae and Gunwook together on the same verse. Well, bridge, whatever. It was like Christmas came early. Like, oh my god, chef's kiss. 5 stars. If anything, Hello is a great example of a ballad song done right. Ew. Just ew. This gave me the same ick as when I saw the sped up and slowed down versions of Deja Vu from TXT from their new mini album. No, stop it. Give me actually new songs. So, the mini album as a whole. I liked this project for the most part. It felt like the natural progression of ZB1's sound, and I would even call it a transitional period for them. Songs like Solar Power and Dear Eclipse were a new direction for the group that haven't appeared in their discography before, and I will be honest, I wasn't a huge fan. Solar Power is a sound many K-pop boy groups do, but without the provocative distinction that those successful groups made, popularizing it in the process. So as a result, Solar Power lacks depth. Same with Dear Eclipse. While this track didn't do anything offensive to make me hate it, like the former, it dips into a shallow part of the genre and fumbles the bag. These two tracks confuse me, since ZB1's has gone 2 for 2 on refreshing, cute title tracks, with In Bloom and Feel the Pop. They have done a twofold job. 1, separating them from most boy groups, and 2, being successful while doing so. Even Crush, the outlier, has a darker tone that is still in line with their concept without being copies. In comparison, their old B-sides don't adhere to strict rules for being youthful songs, yet they manage to flow seamlessly regardless. So the incorporation of Solar Power and Dear Eclipse makes me think we're at a crossroads. Either they can continue with the provably fruitful wink wink route of what they've been doing, or they will U-turn into a sexy badass concept. I will be really sad if this happens. Again, I'm not inherently opposed to these concepts, but I already stan groups that do them expertly well, so adding ZB1's to the roster wouldn't make sense. They would just be going into a niche that is already overly saturated. They have a good, unique sound. I would hate for them to ruin what they have going for them. In regards to standing them, I'm not sure. I like the title track, the mini album, so technically it should be a yes, but I'll have to, save my final decision for the next comeback. I know that's such a cop-out, but I will be buying these first 3 mini albums. As much as I hope they don't go down the generic boy group route, their choosing to do so will not remove the fact that their first 3 releases are quality stuff. Other than the music, I've already delved deep into the behind the scenes and the variety shows that they've attended, and I like the members themselves. I just need the next comeback to reassure me into which direction they're going down. Now that I've officially talked your ear off, let's get to the fun stuff. Okay, the fun stuff has finally arrived. I made this tier list really quickly. I just scrapped it together, honestly. But the point of this is to rank, obviously, ZB1's title tracks as of now. So right here you have In Bloom, Crush, and Feel the Pop. The 2 white spaces are because I realized pretty quickly that you have to have at least 5 images, and of course they only have 3 comebacks, so I just put blanks. But before we actually get into ranking these, I want to explain how I labeled the ranks, because I think that's the large part of why I find these things so fun. If I just left it from A to F, it would be really boring. So let's see what I renamed them really quickly. The first one is just Bell Existing to represent S rank. I don't think I need to explain myself. It's pretty obvious. Just Bell. Yes, Bell from Kiss of Life. So yeah, Bell Existing is just perfection in itself. There's no room for discussion, basically. And then the next one after that is Matthew shaking ass to Tyla. For those unfortunate enough to not have seen the TikTok, I will probably put it here.
니키가 챌린지 찍고 싶다고 하는데 우리가 다 아는 챌린지임이에요. 근데 갑자기 우리 다 쉬고 있는 Make me swear, make me what 이러니까.
And yes, it specifically has to be Matthew shaking ass, and I don't know why. Especially with the trend of Tyla's song Water on TikTok and every idol known to man covering it. I've seen so many. It's unhealthy at this point, but for some reason Matthew half doing it jokingly spurs something in me, and I don't know what it is. It's not horniness. That's not. I think it's just endearing. I think that's why I like it so much. Anyway, before I embarrass myself any further, let's go down to the next one. Again, I will put up the clip if you haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure you have. This specific rank is for songs that I enjoy, but very tentatively. Much like the clip, I find them funny. I think they're enjoyable, but there's a little part of me that's just sitting there being am I supposed to be watching this? Anyway, I'm really excited for the next one. JYP's Sweet Dreams. Now I know I don't need to put a video of this. I'm gonna do it anyway, just because I want to listen to it again.
Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to disagree?
And again, we are in the 4th rank here, but we're still in enjoying territory, but a very specific kind of enjoyment. I like these kinds of songs in an ironic way. I don't take them seriously. They're not meant to be taken seriously, and they're usually not that good. But I find things to like about it anyway. If I had to think of an example, I would probably put Idol's Queen card. And finally, we arrive at the rank where I actually don't like these songs, and because of that, I'm throwing out my most powerful Pokemon, Dahyun, and she will obviously be using her primary attack, which is cursing your entire family lineage. Okay, now that we've finally gotten that over the way, I can actually start ranking these. So, we're going to start with a saucy take immediately, and I know that people are going to disagree with me, just because of how much, not hate this song got, but I think, I don't want to spoil it too much, I'm just going to do it. Yeah, Crush Goes in Bells existing. I think I am like the 1% of people who thought that Crush was better than In Bloom. Speaking of In Bloom, let me just, assuage your fears immediately. There you go. All right. The point difference between these two songs are so small. I remember that when I was first scoring In Bloom when it came out, because I really like going to like the Album of the Year website, so I score a lot of these songs that I review. I initially put a 10 because I couldn't imagine a better song for their debut. I was dancing all day, every day to this song. Like, it was unimaginable. I truly did not think that they could do better than this song, and I was honestly really kind of scared for them for their first comeback. I'm like, how are they going to top this? It's not even going to be possible. And then they came out with Crush. So in retrospect, I had to lower In Bloom to 9.5 and put Crush at 10. That is the impact that Crush had on me, and I don't think anyone else will agree with me on this. Just because in the wider K-pop community, it seems like a lot of people thought that Crush was a step down. And while, again, this was like a whole thing during my video, while it wasn't like super light and a bright tone, I did think that it carried over themes from In Bloom very well. So again, the difference between these two, they're both in Bell Existing. They're both S tier. Like, I love both of these songs so freaking much. The point difference between them is literally 0.5. And finally, we have the most recent comeback with Feel the Pop. You know what? Let's make a game out of this for anyone that is watching. Go ahead and comment down below what you think I'm going to be putting this into. Did you do it? You did it? All right, thank you. Okay. Now let me reiterate, this rank is, I do enjoy songs in this rank, but a little part of me is wondering how long my enjoyment for this song is going to last. Like, it can be repetitive, and there is that little voice in the back of my head that is saying that this song may not age well, and I think that's pretty much why it's in this rank. Okay, I guess we're done. I mean, there's only 3 songs to rank here, so there's not much debate going on. It's gonna be interesting once they have a lot more comebacks and I can rearrange these. Again, I was pretty certain that In Bloom was like a perfect 10 out of 10, so if they manage to outdo themselves, then like this might change. You know, this might drop down, this might stay here. You know, maybe I feel better about Feel the Pop and I move it up, or I admit that it was a mistake putting it that high and put it down. But as of right now, this is going to be my ranking. Let's go on to the mini album, shall we? And we are back again with a new tier list. Looking very similar though, and it'll probably go by a lot quicker since I don't have to explain what the ranks mean this time and the memes behind them. Down here, again, you have Youth in the Shade, Melting Point, and You Had Me at Hello, and of course, 2 blanks. So I am, again, going to start off with the album that is like peak for me. I don't know if it's going to be very surprising to anybody considering the title track, but I'm just gonna go and yeah, that makes sense. Now, the biggest difference between this tier list and last tier list is that the Youth in the Shade album is going to be going a tier lower. I think there's a bigger distinction between these 2 albums as complete projects. The title tracks themselves are very close in quality, but I think that Melting Point just has some songs that are like just an edge above. Like, they really push it into like S tier. I think my favorite track is actually Take My Hand. It has Melting Point, it has Crush. Like, this was like banger after banger. There was not a single song on this mini album that I didn't like. And again, while I mentioned it briefly, I did not like the intro to Youth in the Shade, back to ZB1's. Thinking of the B-sides in Youth in the Shade, I'm thinking of like New Kids on the Block, which I would probably put on the same level instrumentally as Sweat. Not that I really feel the same way about it. I do think that New Kids on the Block is very much like house genre-esque, and I think that's a good example of a song that I'm like, I'm okay with. I don't feel heavily one way or the other about it. As for the last one, this is where things get interesting. Do I put it lower? I'm going to put it in radio host moaning over TXT. I think You Had Me at Hello has enough songs where it really tips it over the edge into that rank. However, it really just depends on how well this particular mini album ages. It's been months, obviously, since Melting Point and Youth in the Shade, and I think that they've aged spectacularly. This one, though, there are some songs on here I'm like, like I love Sweat now. I do. I ranted how much I loved it, but I don't know if that's still going to be the case in fall and winter and spring of next year. I think a song like Hello is pretty safe in my future playlists. Feel the Pop, Sunday Ride. It's a little more hectic down here, so I'm gonna put it like this. This may have been a waste of time, I'm not exactly sure, since I've just realized that according to the title tracks, the mini albums are also in the same order, except that Youth in the Shade is just a rank below. I do think it was worth it to just rank these mini albums anyway, just so I can lay it out all like this. I think it'll also be really interesting to look back in a couple months for the new comeback and see how my thoughts change on these. Regardless, that's going to be it for today. I'm going to leave it here. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. I had a lot of fun with this video. It was definitely new for me and a lot longer. I didn't anticipate this much work going into a review. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing the title ranks and the mini album ranks. I'll probably just keep that to groups that I like really like, but any other reviews I do in the future for groups that aren't in that category are probably going to stick to just reviewing the track list and the mini album. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye!